Hey skiers, I'm Jeff from skiessentials.com.
I'm Bob, how are you?
I don't normally like to ski in the rain, but here we are anyways. If you follow our content, you may have noticed that at least myself and Bob are in some different outerwear this year, and that's because we are going to work in outerwear reviews and other content into the mix this year. So that's why we're here, skiing in the rain. I figure there's not a better waterproof test than skiing in the rain.
No, and like sitting on the chair, like actively pushing the water into your back and your underside is a pretty effective testing technique.
Yeah, so we're both doing some testing today. I'm wearing this Strafe gear. This video is going to focus on this, and so far so good. You get some nice water beating there. We'll see how long we last. And then Bob's got some Black Crowes gear on, and we'll talk about that in a later video. So wish us luck as you're watching this video, because I don't know, I hope we don't get wet. We'll see.
As long as you can see, I think it's fine.
I think it's going to be great.
Yeah.
So we'll talk to you in a little bit and let you know how this stuff handled the weather. Okay, that's one run in the books. I don't know that the beating is still working as well, but I am dry.
I think when you're going fast and you're really like actively pushing that water in there,
Totally.
I think that's just gonna happen.
So that seems to be what's going on. Like the outer layer, whatever the outer fabric is, which we'll talk more about a little bit later, that's a little bit saturated, but whatever the actual waterproofing layer is, the internal membrane, seems to be working great.
There's a pretty direct line where you're forward facing.
Right.
So like anything back here is dry. Even though it's like you're getting rained on still.
But again, I'm dry.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm quite cozy in here.
Good.
So wish the skiing was better, but the outerwear is working great. So maybe we'll have Bob point the camera at me this run, just so you guys can see what we're dealing with, and then we'll meet you back in the studio. We'll talk more about this jacket and these pants, talk about the fit, all the features and all that stuff. But yeah, I'm quite pleased.
Good.
For a terrible day, I feel pretty cozy.
Yeah, no such thing as bad conditions, just bad clothing.
There you go. Hey skiers, here we are back in the studio. Excited to talk more about this Strafe Nomad jacket and bib pants. Hopefully you found a little bit of humor in that intro. Definitely felt silly. It kind of always feels silly being out there in rain like that, but it was also kind of cool to take that opportunity and really test the waterproofing of this fabric. We're going to talk about that towards the end of the video, the fabric itself. Really excited to do some outerwear reviews this year, and what I thought we would do as a theme is kind of break it into three sections, the 3 F's of Ski Essentials outerwear reviews. So we're going to talk about fit, features, and then fabric itself. At the end of the video, I'll kind of share some general thoughts and experiences in the gear. But yeah, to start with fit, I'm 5'10", about 160 pounds, give or take, maybe a little less on most days. This is a size large. So I would say that most skiers my size would generally prefer a medium. I do think it has what I would describe as kind of a free ride or even like freestyle inspired fit. A little bit baggier, a little bit roomier. Even if I put the medium on, it is like still, it's not like a form-fitting, like super slim piece. It still has some bagginess and roominess to it. Personally, I love the fit of this large. To me, this is like exactly what I look for and pretty much ideal for me personally from just a fit, a feel, like the functionality, the range of motion and stuff like that without it feeling so oversized that it gets in the way. So I really like how kind of low the jacket goes. Say it's about mid-thigh. Any longer than this, I think it would start getting a little bit too long, but yeah, to me this is pretty perfect. Love that it covers my butt. That's kind of a big thing for me with jackets, is I generally want them long enough that if I'm sitting on the chairlift or like even just sitting down in the snow or something, I get like double coverage on my butt. So that's kind of nice. One thing that is great for me is sometimes when I go for like an oversized or slightly baggier large fit, the sleeves can be kind of unnecessarily long, and these I don't think are unnecessarily long by any means. The other thing I really like about the sleeves is they kind of taper to a pretty nice circumference in the cuff here. So I have some other jackets that are large. I even have some medium jackets where the circumference of this end of the cuff is actually like quite a bit bigger. And I don't like that, because then I just feel like you're like constantly kind of playing with this Velcro and getting it to cinch up properly. It just feels like bulky and weird. This is big enough that it's always easy for me to slip it on over gloves, but then it's not like so big that, you know, it like is just getting in the way and just feels ridiculous, like a clown jacket or something. Pants for me are a little bit big, kind of through the waist. I think that's like probably to be expected with this size. Again, I really like the fit, so that doesn't bother me. It is interesting that they have belt loops on here, so you could kind of cinch that up if you want to. For me, although the pants feel a little big through this midsection, it doesn't matter to me because I'm covering it with the jacket anyways. Something that I really like, the length is not too long. So again, same with the sleeve length. Sometimes if I'm going for a bigger fit, the leg length can just be so long that I feel like I'm walking on it and ruining it when I'm walking around the parking lot and stuff like that. So the fit is great. This literally could not be more perfect for me personally. I know there probably are people watching this video that are looking at me and they're like, Jeff, you look ridiculous, and that's fine. Like, again, I think the medium would be a more traditional fit. I was kind of joking about it in the written review. You can take the skier out of the terrain park, but you can't take the terrain park out of the skier. So I used to wear huge outerwear. So for me, this is like a more appropriate, more refined fit, more technical fit, so to speak. But no, I love it. And yeah, if you don't want this kind of free ride, freestyle-y look, just go more true to size with your selection. Like, I'm generally a medium in t-shirts and stuff like that. I would say whatever you are, if you want it to fit more normal, stick with your t-shirt size, sweatshirt size, things like that. So moving on to features, I think it's fun to start with pockets. Every time I get a new jacket or a new outerwear kit, I'm like kind of overwhelmed by the amount and the placement of all the pockets. It's like you have to learn a whole new system. And admittedly, it took me a little while to learn this one, but ultimately I've got it pretty dialed, I think. The jacket has a ton of pockets. So there are these two huge pockets in the front, kind of on the lower portion of the jacket here. Then you get these two chest pockets as well. So between that, like literally like the entire front of the jacket is a pocket, which I think is pretty darn cool. If anything, there's like too much room, which I don't think is a thing. You know, it's not like it gets in the way or anything like that. It's just like an excess amount of where you can put things. I generally throw keys in this pocket, GoPro in this pocket, plenty of room for all that stuff. I carry a lot of things when I'm skiing. You could put a phone in this pocket. In fact, I think that's the intention of Strafe, because they've got this little mesh pocket in here. I've opted not to do that. I kind of just use these pockets as like on the fly if I've got something that I quickly need to stash away or might need to access really quickly. That's what I use those for. We also get a pass pocket right here, and then we do get a couple inside pockets. They're just small, kind of another spot for a phone right there, and then a small mesh pocket over on this side. I chose to keep my phone kind of moving on, and then I'll tell you some things that I think could potentially be improved. I keep my phone in one of these pockets on the bib. So the bibs also have a lot of pockets, I think, for a kind of technical Shell bib pant. Two big pockets there. They're not huge, but big enough to fit phones and other important stuff. I like keeping valuables in these pockets because they're like zipped into the bib and then also covered with the jacket, so it kind of feels like double protection. Generally keep my wallet in this left front pocket here, and then the only pocket that I don't really use on the bib pants is this lower pocket, and that has a lot to do with the fit that I've chosen. Because these are kind of on the big side, if I put anything in that pocket, it would hit me in the knee. Maybe I put a hand warmer in there, that might feel good, but I wouldn't want to put anything firm in there. Now, a couple things that I think could be improved on, or at least I would probably want to see, at least from a pocket perspective. I kind of miss having like a big oversized pocket here to put gloves or skins or stuff like that. It's not a make or break thing for me. I just think it would be kind of cool to see, or even just one. Then the other thing, which feels like more of a me issue than anything else, is I kind of wish the pockets closed to the outside. So like I said, I keep like GoPros and keys in these front pocket, and it usually comes up with the GoPro more than anything else. I'll often like take it out on the fly, like skiing down a trail, and I'm like, oh, like we should film this. This is a perfect opportunity. And I'll literally like unzip my pocket on the fly, take the camera out, and then I'll want to put it back away. And sometimes what happens is I'll put the camera in there, and then because it has to zip to the inside, I have to like reach over and use two hands. So I don't know, small, tiny little details there, but I don't know. If I was allowed to change something, I would probably have the pocket zip to the outside. But tons of pockets, it's awesome. And then looking at some other features, these wrist gaiters are some of the nicest that I've ever used. Sometimes these things feel too tight, kind of like constricting or even like claustrophobic. These are tight enough that they're doing their job. They're not letting snow or breeze or anything like that through, but they're loose enough that they're comfortable too. There's a removable powder skirt. I don't really ever remove powder skirts. I'd be curious if people do. They never seem to get in the way if I'm not using it, but it is nice to have. We're about to get a big dump of snow here in Stowe, so I'll definitely use it for that. And then we get armpit and leg vents. The leg vents are perfectly placed in my opinion. I like them kind of on the side, or if anything like the back of the side. And both the leg and arm vents, they don't have any mesh, so they go straight into whatever you're wearing underneath, which again, I kind of like. You know, it allows you to kind of play around with adjusting your mid layers or base layers or stuff like that. And now moving on to the fabric, I think that's probably the most important thing of this kind of style review. This is a shell, 3-layer shell. There's no insulation in this jacket whatsoever. When I first got it, I was blown away and quite impressed by just the touch of the fabric itself. This stuff is very, very light and very soft too. Like a lot of outerwear kind of has that like hard, crinkly feel to it, where there's a little bit of crinkle there, but it feels more soft to the touch than anything. Not quite soft shell, but it is softer. Nice 4-way stretch to it too, which I think is really cool. So I was blown away, and I was actually more like worried about how it was going to perform. You know, when I first put it on, first touched it, I was like, there's no way that's going to be waterproof enough, warm enough, durable enough. You know, I still ski in the park, so I can be pretty hard on outerwear. But I've been really impressed by it. We started the video with that rain footage, and maybe that's a cool place to start. There are other jackets out there that have better waterproofing. I believe it's polyester on the exterior of this jacket. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but you know, classic 3-layer situation here. And the exterior fabric did get a little bit more saturated than some. So it's either that exterior fabric or it's the DWR finish. Not sure. The material itself is called eVent Flex. So that venting is right there in the name, and we'll get to that in a little bit. So The exterior got a little bit saturated, but the rest of the jacket, or at least my body on the inside, stayed pretty much perfectly dry. So again, it's not going to function like a raincoat, and I have worn and seen other jackets with like better beading on the outside, but you're not really going to be using this in the rain that much, so I don't think it really matters, and I stayed pretty dry and pretty cozy anyways. The huge benefit to this fabric is how it breathes. To bring that vent back into the conversation, I am blown away by how well this stuff breathes. I'm under like massive studio lights right now, and you might even be able to see that my face is kind of sweating a little bit, but my body actually feels like it's perfectly regulated for temperature, which is wild to me. I've done some kind of short tours in this stuff. I hiked around in the terrain park, hiked some rails for a while in it. I do a lot of stuff on the mountain that can get me kind of sweaty, and this stuff breathes so well. You just stay like dry and comfortable in this stuff, whether it's raining or whether it's like 40 degrees and sunny and you're working really hard. So I think that is extremely commendable. And then that four-way stretch just really makes it like nice and comfy. It's never restricting to movement, which I think is really cool. So great stuff. You know, I think there's like a couple things about features that potentially could be improved on, but I really think I'm like kind of getting like borderline too picky there. And then I think the fabric itself is really nice. I think it's worth it. This stuff isn't too cheap. Almost $1,200 at full price if you're picking up jacket and pants. So it is really high-end outerwear, but I think you get what you pay for, and maybe the biggest value is in the way that the whole stuff breathes. So huge range of use for this stuff. You know, I've been skiing it in the resort a ton here in northern Vermont. We have some cold days. You know, if it's colder, because it's not insulated, I'll just throw on a couple extra layers. So I think it's perfectly acceptable in the resort. I think it's fantastic stuff for anybody who's going to be doing some touring too, because how well it breathes, how well it moves, just how comfortable it is. I can certainly forget about the lack of big inside pocket for gloves or skins or stuff like that. Like, to me, there are way more benefits to this stuff for a backcountry enthusiast than there are restrictions or downsides to it. So yeah, really happy with this stuff. Definitely let us know in the comments if there's anything you want to know about it. Trying to think if there's anything I forgot. The hood is great, helmet compatible hood. I wear an XL helmet. It is a little tight around the XL helmet, but certainly works. I've had some with a little bit more range of motion in the head, but I skied yesterday with my hood up the entire time and it didn't bother me whatsoever. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff going on here. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about it. We're going to keep doing more outerwear reviews throughout the season, so if there's anything that you'd like to see us add, if there's anything that you think would be beneficial, please let us know. This is a little bit of a learning process for us. So yeah, if you have any suggestions or comments, don't hesitate to leave them below this video, and we'll talk to you soon.